This is not just a film, it is a seismic cultural event that is fundamentally rewriting the history of global cinema and redefining the power structure of the entertainment industry. You are currently witnessing the true measure of anime's unprecedented global financial and cultural power. But beneath the blinding spotlight of this undeniable triumph, a shocking situation is unfolding that reveals the final, monumental hurdle for non-Hollywood content and sets the stage for a dramatic, calculated industry pivot. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, The Infinity Castle Arc Part 1, has not only shattered Japanese box office records but has solidified its status as the greatest international film ever released in North America, securing a position once thought permanently reserved for American blockbusters. Yet why, despite this overwhelming global dominance, this clear victory over its predecessor and contemporary rivals, did it fall tantalizingly short of the mythical $1 billion wall that fans and industry leaders alike so desperately craved? The answer lies in the complex interplay of global market dynamics, historical distribution biases, the relentless challenge of piracy, and, critically, a highly calculated strategic gamble by the production team. Keep watching and reading until the very end, and you will not only uncover the new, elevated normal of the anime industry and the exact, granular reasons for this shortfall, but we will provide the detailed, strategic, and definitive breakdown of the explosive winning scenario hidden within its planned sequel. A scenario that is not based on hope, but on pure, achievable mathematics, all but guaranteeing that the $1 billion milestone is about to fall, changing the face of global entertainment forever. This forthcoming success will be the ultimate validation of the Japanese creative model. The new cinematic emperor, $688 million, and the ultimate cliffhanger. In the year 2024, Demon Slayer, the unquestioned reigning champion of the anime world, once again made its name resonate globally with a financial and cultural force that traditional Hollywood studios, whose cultural dominance has long been assumed, are struggling to fully comprehend and counter. Its latest theatrical installment, Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, The Infinity Castle Arc Part 1, didn't just perform well, it established an astonishing, world-historic box office record immediately following its staggered international release. This film's performance should be mandatory reading for every executive in the film industry, illustrating the power of a globally synchronized creative vision. According to the final figures compiled from major international distributors and industry analysts, the film has already hit a staggering $688 million worldwide. This colossal figure, approximated at 106 billion yen, is not merely impressive, it is revolutionary. It surpasses its legendary and already record-breaking predecessor, Mugen Train, by a definitive margin of over $200 million. This massive jump in revenue occurred in a film market still highly competitive and saturated with other major releases, cementing the Infinity Castle Arc's title as the highest-grossing Japanese film of all time. This is a truly historic achievement, symbolizing not just a victory for a single studio but the definitive beginning of a new golden, global age for the entire Japanese anime industry, where its properties compete on equal footing with any studio in Los Angeles. The film's performance was not geographically limited. Beyond a powerful domestic showing in Japan, its overseas performance is what truly elevates the narrative. It became the highest-grossing international film in the combined US and Canadian market, successfully dethroning a long-held record. Furthermore, it demonstrated exceptional, sustained strength across key European territories, Latin America, and South Korea, territories traditionally seen as difficult to penetrate for non-US animated properties. This confirms that Demon Slayer is not a niche cultural phenomenon. It is mainstream cultural supremacy, demonstrating the successful transition of Japanese intellectual property into a global cinematic and financial force. However, there is a major but here. The one monumental, deeply symbolic target secretly and fervently anticipated by anime communities across the globe, the ultimate validation of the medium, was breaking the $1 billion worldwide box office mark. This 10-figure milestone is not just a number on a spreadsheet, it is the absolute symbol of a true mega-hit, achieved almost exclusively by the highest-tier Hollywood productions. Think the core cinematic universe releases from Marvel and the top-tier animated giants from Disney and Pixar. For an anime film, an adaptation of a manga, not an original Hollywood concept, to enter this rarefied $1 billion club would signify the complete cultural dominance of Asian content in the global market. It would prove that anime is no longer a niche genre to be categorized, but a primary, irresistible form of world entertainment that dictates trends and draws massive crowds purely on its own merit and creative quality. Unfortunately, despite its monumental gross of $688 million, the film is still over $300 million short of the $1 billion goal. When this news broke, the global community was swept up in two deeply conflicting, yet equally intense emotions. On one hand, celebrating the highest glory ever achieved for Japanese cinema and the incredible $200 million leap over its own predecessor, and on the other, acknowledging the dream that remains just out of reach. A feeling of both intense pride and frustrating anticipation for the ultimate finish line. But the true revelation is this. The industry quickly shifted its focus from celebration to forensic analysis, looking at the structural reasons for the shortfall. Why the cap at $688 million? The answer is a confluence of factors that highlight anime's unique vulnerabilities in the global distribution chain. 1. The front-loaded fanbase model. The first major obstacle is the very nature of an anime film. Unlike general audience blockbusters that build momentum over months, anime movies, especially those tied to a serialized story, are heavily front-loaded. The core, dedicated fanbase rushes out in the first 2 to 3 weeks to avoid spoilers, leading to massive opening numbers but a much sharper, immediate drop-off in subsequent weeks. This pattern is fundamentally different from the sustained, casual viewing required by Marvel or Disney to crawl past the billion-dollar mark. Demon Slayer achieved its staggering number through extreme fan urgency, but lacked the long tail needed for $1 billion. 2. The required homework barrier. The Infinity Castle Arc Part 1 is not a standalone movie. To fully appreciate the stakes, the complex character relationships, and the deep emotional gravity of the events unfolding, viewers are required to have watched several seasons of the television anime. This homework or prerequisite knowledge significantly limits its immediate, explosive appeal to truly casual, mainstream audiences who might otherwise propel a film to $1 billion purely based on spectacle. Hollywood films often simplify lore for mass appeal, a compromise Demon Slayer refuses to make. 3. The global staggering dilemma. This is arguably the most critical and controllable factor. The staggered global release, largely dictated by distribution complexities and sub-licensing agreements across various continents, meant that crucial high-population markets like China, South America, and Southeast Asia often received the film weeks or even months late. This delay allowed pirated, high-quality versions to circulate widely, severely siphoning off potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue from the global total. The industry acknowledges this vulnerability as the single greatest non-creative challenge. The cold hard truth. Unpacking the China market dilemma. Here's where the analysis provided by box office expert Luis Fernando becomes critical, focusing on the Asian market that historically holds the key to the final numbers. Fernando, a recognized authority on international film market performance, highlighted the single most critical, yet most volatile, factor that limited Part 1's final ceiling: the Chinese market. China, with its massive population and rapidly growing theatrical attendance, is one of the world's largest theatrical markets, a powerful force capable of adding hundreds of millions of dollars to a global total overnight. However, the release of Infinity Castle, Part 1 in China was complex and faced significant hurdles common to all non-Chinese content, including stringent censorship requirements, long delays, and intense local competition. Fernando predicted that even if the film was screened under the best possible political and scheduling conditions, and managed to evade severe competition from rivals like Disney's Zootopia 2, the final Chinese box office revenue would optimistically peak between $120 million and $150 million. This is a stark, data-driven insight. While $150 million would be hailed as an astonishing success for a non-Chinese film post-pandemic, Fernando's overall conclusion remained firm. It will be extremely difficult for the worldwide total to exceed $850 million. This expert analysis was the final straw, unfortunately crushing the quiet hope among many fans that the Chinese market would serve as the final, massive fortress needed to bridge the gap to $1 billion. This struggle highlights a crucial economic truth. While anime is culturally dominant, its distribution model still lacks the seamless, global synchronization that major Hollywood studios enforce, resulting in a predictable and persistent revenue leak through piracy and timing issues. The creative product is perfect. The delivery mechanism still requires a final, crucial upgrade. The unshakable foundation, Ufotable's visual alchemy and the power of finality. Why was Demon Slayer expected to hit $1 billion in the first place? The reason is a unique synergy, the emotional core of Koyohara Gotoge's writing married to the technical perfection of Studio Ufotable, creating a brand that transcends mere fandom. The success trajectory is based on momentum. Mugen Train set a monumental record. The fact that the Infinity Castle Arc Part 1 earned over $200 million more than its predecessor is not just a financial increase. It is undeniable proof that the Demon Slayer brand power is continuously escalating in the global consciousness, successfully converting millions of new fans in key global territories. This sustained, accelerating growth is the only foundation upon which the billion-dollar target can realistically be built. But the central, irresistible magnetic pull lies in the production studio, Ufotable. Their uncompromising commitment to visual excellence and technical innovation has set a new, unachievable standard for cinematic animation. Their depiction of the Hashira's breathtaking fight scenes, characterized by dynamic camera work, flawless blending of traditional 2D artistry with high-end 3D computer graphics, CG, especially in rendering the iconic breathing techniques and the chaotic architecture of the Infinity Castle, transforms the viewing experience from a mere adaptation into a monumental, must-see theatrical event. This is visual alchemy achieved through painstaking, expensive labor. Ufotable's high-cost, high-quality production model is precisely what justifies, and indeed requires, a billion-dollar return. Furthermore, the strength of the original manga by Koyohara Gotoge provides the essential emotional bedrock and narrative urgency. Unlike many anime franchises, Demon Slayer has a definitive, complete, and beloved conclusion. The Infinity Castle arc is the beginning of the story's definitive and emotional conclusion. The original manga has already concluded globally, and its touching, earned ending is beloved and well-known. This creates a powerful magnetic pull, the intense desire to see the final, cataclysmic, and deeply satisfying conclusion animated by the flawless hand of Ufotable, even knowing the outcome. This sense of emotional finality and guaranteed payoff is the unyielding strength of the Demon Slayer series and the deep foundation supporting this glorious box office performance. The global roar, fan reactions confirm the confidence. When the final gross of $688 million was reported, the global fan community's reaction was fascinating. It was a duality of massive celebration and immediate future focus. The sentiment wasn't disappointment, it was fierce pride and an unwavering certainty in Part 2. In North America, the general sentiment was one of shock at the sheer number. One prominent American fan posted on social media, $1 billion was the dream, but honestly, the fact that it topped the Mugen Train record by $200 million in this market is insane. This isn't just an anime hit, this is a true blockbuster. They're seriously going to do it with Part 2. The setup is too perfect. European fans focused heavily on the artistic merit. Another European fan commented, with Ufotable's animation quality and Koyohara Gotoge's story power, the result is inevitable. This was just a warm-up. They saved the true climax for the second part, and that strategic move is brilliant. $1 billion is not a hope, it's a guarantee for the finale. Even fans in the Asia-Pacific region, who often experience the delay, showed relentless optimism, understanding the strategy. A Southeast Asian commenter noted, "We know the piracy hurt the numbers here because of the late release, but the hype for the final battle is too real. The moment Part 2 drops, if it's simultaneous everywhere, the box office will explode. This is the last chance for the full experience, and everyone will pay." The community's distinctive response is to quickly shift their focus and burning anticipation to the next goal, the Infinity Castle Arc Part 2. This collective, unshakable confidence in the sequel is a crucial indicator that the studio's strategy, splitting the final, most impactful arc into 2 cinematic releases, was a deliberate, high-stakes, and ultimately genius move to maximize both box office and cultural impact. They saved the best for last. The final test, why Part 2 is the $1 billion certainty. The most critical turning point in this entire box office saga is yet to come, and the final conclusion is clear. The unanimous prediction of experts, fans, and industry insiders alike is not merely that the sequel will be a massive hit, but that Demon Slayer, the Infinity Castle Arc Part 2 will be the first anime film in history to break the $1 billion barrier. The current record is simply the prologue. The final, historic act is about to begin. Why the absolute certainty? Because Part 1, with its $688 million gross, functioned as a perfect, conscious strategic stepping stone for Part 2, designed to establish momentum and reveal distribution weaknesses. Now, the team is poised to exploit the single biggest advantage they hold, the narrative climax. The strategic and mathematical path to $1 billion. Part 1's base and momentum. Part 1 already established a colossal $688 million base. The fact that it paced $200 million ahead of Mugen Train indicates sustained, accelerating momentum. The baseline for Part 2 is already historic. The climax factor uplift. Part 2 is dedicated to the story as ultimate, definitive climax. The final, desperate, life or death confrontation against Muzan Kibutsui. This segment contains the most beloved, action-packed, emotionally draining, and satisfying moments in the entire original manga. The finality of this battle, the emotional resolution for the main characters, and the ultimate fate of the Hashira, will undoubtedly be the single biggest, most urgent draw to cinemas worldwide. Industry tracking conservatively estimates that a definitive final chapter typically adds a significant uplift, easily 15–25%, to a film's gross compared to a setup movie like Part 1. Optimized global release strategy. The most crucial element that will make the difference is the elimination of the staggering dilemma. The painful lessons learned from Part 1's delayed international releases will be maximized in Part 2. The distribution strategy will focus on a much tighter, more unified global simultaneous or near-simultaneous release. By minimizing the gap between the Japanese, North American, European, and crucially, the Chinese debuts, the industry aims to effectively cripple the piracy market and maximize the global, unified buzz before leaks can circulate. This alone could unlock the $100 million plus required to cross the line. The China synchronization is key. The primary target will be a successful synchronized release in China to capture the full, unspoiled theatrical potential of that market. This optimized release is predicted to drive the Chinese revenue well past the initial $150 million projection to $170 million or higher. This is not just about a movie's financial performance. This entire final cinematic arc is the final trial for Japanese anime to be officially crowned as one of the most powerful and influential forms of entertainment in the world, standing definitively shoulder to shoulder with Hollywood's highest earners. Demon Slayer, with its stunning visuals, heart-stirring narrative, and overwhelming global fan passion, has already succeeded in capturing the hearts of millions and redefining the global film landscape. All that remains is to set the final, historic number and stand upon the cultural peak. The record of the Infinity Castle arc Part 1 is a tremendous, history-making step, not a failure. Instead, it is the most powerful, calculated trailer and a perfect setup for the next, even greater success. The result should be a fierce source of pride for the fans and an unwavering confidence in the future of the medium. The stage is set for a historic cinematic moment. Miss the history. This channel is your dedicated high-speed news source, delivering the fastest, deepest, and most strategic analysis on the now and next of the anime world, often before official news breaks. We bring you behind-the-scenes scoops, expert breakdowns, and real-time fan reactions for global sensations like Demon Slayer every single day. We are the front line of the anime news battle. Will you join us on the front lines to witness the historic moment when the world's first $1 billion anime film is born? The countdown to cultural supremacy is on, and the final stage of the battle is set to begin. To ensure you never miss this monumental news, hit the like button now and subscribe to our channel. And make absolutely sure to turn on the bell notifications so you are never beaten to the next shocking news flash that will confirm this ultimate victory. We eagerly await your passionate comments and Part 2 predictions below. Anime will continue to amaze the world, defying all our expectations and conquering the final frontier of global cinema.